This is the 5th time I've read through Leviticus looking for where sacrifice satisfies God's wrath. Did you expect to find it? Well, all these articles say that Jesus' death is a sacrifice that satisfies God's wrath, turning it away from believers. Interesting, but really, if you wanted to define biblical sacrifice, where's the best place to look? Leviticus? Right, so if sacrifice is about turning away wrath, you would expect to find that detail in the one book that's full of intricate, detailed instructions on sacrifice. Well, did you find wrath in Leviticus? I did. The sin offering? No. The guilt offering? Nuh-uh. The burnt offering? Nope. Leviticus doesn't link any sacrifice with wrath. It doesn't? It doesn't. Not once. Okay, maybe Leviticus doesn't use the word wrath. But it does. I found wrath 3 times in Leviticus, although it didn't show up until chapter 10. Moses searched carefully for the goat of the sin offering, but it had been burned. So he was angry, saying, "Why did you not eat the sin offering at the holy place? For it is most holy." Wow, Moses gets angry, but that's not God's wrath. Correct. The second wrath is in verse 6, and this is Moses talking again. He says, "Don't uncover your heads or tear your clothes, lest you die, and lest wrath come upon all the people." Is that God's wrath? Well, I think that's what Moses is insinuating. Okay, but is Moses suggesting that they might need to offer a sacrifice to avert God's wrath? Nope. To avoid wrath, they just had to remain in their holy state. Where's the last wrath? It's in a chapter that reads just like a classic ancient Near Eastern covenant or treaty. And this wrath is a different Hebrew word. Chapter 26. "If, in spite of all this, you still do not listen to me, but continue to be hostile towards me, then in my anger, I will be hostile toward you." Intense. But Leviticus doesn't say this anger could be turned away by offering a sacrifice. No, sacrifice can't fix a broken covenant. Wait a minute. In English, we have idioms to describe anger. Like all those TikToks of when people crash out.
That was so insane.
Or we might say someone's hot under the collar.
You seem hot under the collar.
Or someone might flip out.
I want you to promise not to flip out.
Yeah, Hebrew has idioms for anger, like when God has a hot nose, or when his nostrils burn hot. So Leviticus could have described God's posture or response to sacrifice with those idioms or words. Yup, but the words of Leviticus have been very carefully crafted and chosen. Well, if Leviticus doesn't connect sacrifice with God's wrath, does sacrifice make God happy? Yeah, Leviticus says it's a pleasing aroma, and that's partly because what is being sent up in smoke is food, a sweet-smelling aroma. So sacrifice pleases God. But that doesn't mean he was angry beforehand. What about when fire came out from the Lord and consumed Nadab and Abihu? That sounds like God's wrath. It does, doesn't it? We're going to talk about those guys next time. If sacrifice doesn't turn away God's wrath, what does? Guess what? Leviticus tells us. Back in chapter 26, a couple of verses later, God says, "But if they confess their wrongdoings and their unfaithfulness." Confess their sin and start being faithful? Yep, it's the same theme through all the prophets. Repent and turn back to God. What happens if they do confess their sin and repent? Is wrath turned away? If they confess their wrongdoings and their unfaithfulness, then I will remember my covenant with them. Yet, in spite of this, when they are in the land of their enemies, I will not reject them, nor will I despise and destroy them, breaking my covenant with them, for I am Yahweh their God.